Welcome to my channel, ketomealsandrecipes.com. It's now early fall and we're heading towards Thanksgiving and Christmas. During the fall season, I like to make a variety of dessert recipes that include pumpkin puree as one of the main ingredients. To provide a bit of variety and serve something new for this year's holiday meal, today I'm really happy to share with you the recipe for my very delicious spiced pumpkin pudding, which you can make either in individual serving ramekins, in a cake pan or casserole dish. By the way, links to all of the videos and also the written recipe for this video are all in the description box. So please go there to check them out. And if you like pumpkin pie and other pumpkin desserts as much as we do, here are a few suggestions from my previously posted videos. One dessert that we all enjoy and I make quite frequently is my classic pumpkin pie, which I top with the delicious cinnamon cream. Alternatively, I also make a no-bake pumpkin cheesecake mousse, which has a very light and airy, kind of melt-in-your-mouth texture. Other times I like to make my pumpkin roll cake, which is a special favorite, and I tend to make it more at Christmas time. And sometimes I like to make my keto pumpkin pound cake with a maple cream cheese frosting, but rather than on the outside, I put it in the middle. This is a very dense and filling pound cake, which I like to serve for breakfast, especially when I'm having a nice hot cup of coffee. If you're wondering how is this different than a pumpkin pie or pumpkin mousse, let me explain. This pumpkin pudding has a very balanced flavor profile that has a perfect combination of pumpkin and the various spices I'm putting into it. And best of all, it's gluten-free, sugar-free, and overall it's not too sweet. And the texture of this pudding is halfway between my pumpkin pie and cheesecake mousse. Because they're very satisfying and filling, but not heavy, the squares are a perfect afternoon or after dinner treat. The nicest part of this spiced pumpkin pudding is how very easy it is to make. And it can be made as a prep-ahead dessert and kept in the fridge for a few days, or it can be frozen in an airtight freezer-safe container, thawed and served when you need it. The macronutrient ratio for each spiced pumpkin pudding square is 5.3 to 1, with 7.1 grams of total carbs, 1.6 grams of dietary fiber, resulting in 5.5 grams of net carbs per very generous size serving. Before beginning any recipe, to make things easier for myself, I gather up and measure all of my ingredients. And then I also preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. I also like to butter a square cake pan or a casserole or single serving baking dishes such as oven-safe ramekins. Now it's time to make the pudding mixture. To a mixing bowl or a stand mixer bowl, add all of the ingredients. The order doesn't matter. In this video, I begin by adding the room temperature eggs and then beat them lightly to combine. Now add the pumpkin puree. But when you're buying pumpkin puree, please read the ingredients on the can. You want to make sure it's pumpkin puree only and not a pumpkin pie mix. And that is because the prepared pumpkin pie mix has many ingredients that you don't want, such as sugar, other spices, and preservatives, which, by the way, will affect the overall taste of your pudding. Next, I add the sweetener. I use an erythritol monk fruit gold blend. Now add the cinnamon powder. Then add the nutmeg powder, and if you can, freshly grate the nut for best taste and flavor. Now it's time to add the clove powder, and here you have a choice. You can either use fresh grated ginger, or you can use ginger powder, which is what I prefer. Sprinkle in the salt, add the maple or pure vanilla extract, and pour in the heavy whipping cream. Using either hand whisk or your stand mixer with a paddle attachment, just beat at low speed until all the ingredients are well combined and the texture is velvety smooth. It took about 2 minutes to get to that consistency. And the next step is to pour the pumpkin pudding mixture into your prepared baking cake pan, casserole dish, or ramekin. Now put your pan or ramekins onto a deep-sided baking dish and pour in some boiling hot water. It'll depend how high the sides are, but I usually add about ½ inch or 1.2 centimeters of water. If you're wondering why, And that's because as you're baking, the water will evaporate, and this will keep the oven moist, which in turn will prevent the surface of your pudding from cracking. So you get a very nice smooth surface. Then transfer the baking sheet into the middle position of your preheated oven and set your timer for 60 minutes. During this time, I like to prepare my garnish. Some people like to garnish this pudding with a sprinkle of cinnamon sweetener. To make that, all you have to do is take 1 tablespoon of your favorite sweetener and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder. Give it a quick stir, and there it is. Alternatively, and you also have enough time to whip up your heavy whipping cream. And when your whipping cream reaches the stiff peak stage, just put it into the fridge until needed. My timer has just gone off, so I'm going to test for doneness. Like other cakes, just insert a toothpick into the center, and if it comes out clean, your pumpkin pudding is done. Place everything on your stove top. Take the cake pan or ramekins out of the water and place them on your counter to cool. As I said, there's several options for garnishing the pumpkin pudding. One of the ways I sometimes garnish is take the cinnamon sugar you just prepared and distribute it over the entire surface of the pudding. And do this while the pudding is still hot. This will help to melt and caramelize the sweetener. It's quite nice. The men in my family like this option because they all have a sweet tooth. However, I don't like my desserts too sweet. I prefer just putting a dollop of nicely whipped cream on top. Or if you're really feeling like a special treat, do a light sprinkle of the cinnamon sweetener and a great big dollop of whipping cream. I forgot to mention, if you're adding whipping cream, make sure that your pudding is at room temperature, then transfer it into the fridge, and then add the topping to your chilled pumpkin pudding. As I said, you can either make this as one complete dessert and cut it into 8 sections. However, sometimes I do prefer to make the pudding in individual serving ramekins to ensure I have portion control. I hope that this spiced pumpkin pudding dessert will be an option for your Thanksgiving or Christmas meals, or anytime you want to enjoy a pumpkin flavored dessert. And if you want more ideas, check out the end links for more holiday treats. I really love hearing from you, so please leave me a comment and tell me what your favorite pumpkin or holiday dessert is. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. Until next time, have a very happy and healthy day. Cheers!